Okay, so we're going to work on a couple of these problems to make sure that you fully understand exactly how we're supposed to set these up. These problems are in some type of standard form, ax plus by equals c. We need to get them to y equals mx plus b form. So the first equation starts off with a 2x minus 3y equals 9. I need the y to be by itself, so I'll subtract 2 x's from each side, and I'm left with negative 3 equals 9 minus 2x. Divide both sides by a negative 3, and I'm left with 9 divided by 3 is a negative 3. A negative over a negative is a positive 2/3 x. So that should give us a good idea of how to solve the problem. You're going to have a similar thing happen here, but now I have x's on each side. When I subtract this 3x from this 2x, I'm going to end up with negative 1x plus 8. And you're going to have to figure out what to do with the 2y equaling 1x minus 8 to figure out the equation, the slope, and the y-intercept. These should be pretty straightforward. Line with the slope passing through. Two ways to do it. If we're setting it up into y equals mx plus b, you should be labeling this every time. There's the m, the x, the y. So I'm going to substitute the m into this equation, the y into this equation, and the 1 into this equation. So my y is 7 equals m is negative 3 times x, which is negative 1, and add b, the only thing I don't know. So 7 equals 3 plus b, and I know that 3 plus 4 would equal 7, so b equals 4. So I should be able to set up the equation for that. Y equals my slope, which they already gave me, negative 3, I'll pair that with x, plus 4. On this problem, it's a little bit more difficult because I don't have a 0 in here, so I must figure out the slope and the y-intercept, and I can use the slope to find the y-intercept. So first, let's work with the slope. The change in x is from 1 to 4 is a 3, from 9 to 0 is down 9. That gives me a slope of negative 9 over 3, which is a negative 3. That means that as x increases by 1, y decreases by 3. And I can see that here. But if I want to only go up 1, I have to go, if I want to go down 1 to get from a 1 to a 0, then I have to go up 3 and get from a 9 to a 12. So my b for this is 12. My equation is y equals negative 3x plus 12. So what I did here was I worked backwards towards 0 to figure out what my y-intercept would be. I can do this on a graph. It's fairly simple. I would plot 1, 9 and 4, 0, and then figure out that the change in y, change in x is negative 9 over 3, and then I could work backwards by, instead of doing the slope is negative 3 over 1, which means down 3, right 1, I could do it as 3 over negative 1, which means up 3, left 1, and that would take me straight back to the y-axis, and I would see that that's at 0, 12. If you don't believe me, try it. Graph it and see what happens. On this page, you're given a slope and a point. It's going to be very similar to what we did on the other side. You can either graph it, or this is your m, x, and y. Plug it in, figure out b, and then you can use the m, which here would be negative 1x plus or minus whatever that would end up being. So you'll solve this y equals mx plus b by plugging in mx and b. On this problem, you're going to have to convert it into y equals, so you'll subtract 2 x's from each side and then divide each piece by 3, and then I'll give you y equals 8 thirds minus 2/3 x. So I'll start at 8/3. 3 will go into 8 2 times with 2/3 left over. So I'll go up to 2 and 2/3. And then I'll go down to 1, 2, and over 3. 1, 2, 3. So it'd be somewhere about right there. I can draw my line. Only pretend that line is going through it. Notice this does not go directly through a point. So I have to kind of estimate if I try to do it by graphing. But it's easy enough to figure it out just by solving for y. Most of you will probably have problems with number 2 because it has all of these fractions in it. But it shouldn't be a problem. Circle, subtract, that gets rid of that, and I'm left with negative 1/3 y is less than 1/2 minus 1/4 x. To get rid of a fraction, I have to multiply by the reciprocal, so I'll multiply everything over here by the reciprocal. 3 times 1/2 is 3/2 minus 3 times 1/4 is 3/4 of x. So it should be y is less than, I'll draw my line, and then I have to figure out, do I shade above or below? I have to figure out, is it solid or dotted? Don't just go by what I drew here, it's not correct. So you figure out how to graph this and graph it. Make sure the line is dotted when it should be dotted and filled in when it should be filled in. That should give you enough to finish this packet with no problems. You have 2 more word problems on the back. They should not be too difficult. Just follow the steps that you already know. I have an x here and a y here. If I add those together, they should be greater than the $1 million. So follow the steps that you've already learned and try to find a way to create an equation out of this and solve it so that you can graph it.